Hi everyone, it is Tara here coming to you from Dauphin Public Library, and I am here with a book review. Before we get into the review though, I'd first like to acknowledge that the land I am on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Anishinaabe, Métis, and Oceti-Sakowin, and is Treaty 2 land. Okay, so the book I'm reviewing today is this one, The Lion of Mars by Jennifer L. Holm. So this book, the main character in this book is Bell. He is a young boy who has been raised on Mars. Doesn't know anything other than being raised on Mars in the U.S. colony that is on Mars. One of the major rules in the U.S. colony is no contact with any of the other international colonies that are on Mars. So France, I think Norway, there's a list of them. And they are to have no contact with them. So they are just a unit unto themselves. So there are quite a few kids, teenagers, that live on Mars, and then there is a group of adults with them. So they have fairly typical days. They get up in the morning, they have breakfast, they eat a lot of food made from algae, which made me curious as to what that food would taste like. I spent a lot of time wondering what food made from algae would taste like. Anyway, so eat their breakfast, they do their chores. Chores are really important on Mars because everything's got to be maintained to keep them safe. So everybody does chores. And they do their schoolwork, they do a little socializing, but for the most part, their days are pretty set. There isn't a lot of change. It's kind of the same routine. Chores switch between people, but it's a fairly routine thing almost every single day. So Belle has a roommate named Albie who happens to snore really loud and a lot. So Belle has a lot of trouble sleeping. So one night, Belle decides to give up, goes to the communications and observation room. So it's up high above ground where they can see out. For the most part, they live underground. I should have mentioned that. They live underground on Mars. But there is an observation tower where they can see out these windows and see what's going on. So after a night sleeping in the tower, he wakes up and he sees this glowing ball coming crashing down on Mars and wonders if it's an alien ship that has crash landed. However, it didn't crash in the U.S. territory, it crashed outside of that. So he does wonder if, anybody from the France territory, which is, I think, one of the closest ones to them, maybe got injured, wondering why the adults aren't going and taking a look. Shortly after this spaceship crashes, the adults get sick. The kids don't, but the adults do. And so the kids have to start taking care of the place and taking care of the adults and doing all of the chores and figuring out how to make the food from the algae and keeping the algae farm going. And they have to make a decision if they are going to leave to go get help from the other colonies, take a chance, see about these mean, scary people at the other colonies, or if they're going to wait for help coming from Earth, which is going to take a really, really, really long time. So that's kind of base of the story without hopefully giving too much away. I had never read a Jennifer Holm book before. I loved this book, and it was amazing. I will definitely read more of hers. I feel this book was really relevant right now. Now, she says in the back that she did not write this it was written before the pandemic, but became pretty relevant. It was in editing when the pandemic was on. She writes, "I could never have imagined how eerily relevant this fictional virus on Mars would become." And in the front cover, she also poses a few questions. What makes a family? How do you brave the unfamiliar? And is survival enough? Or do we need each other to truly thrive? Pretty great questions and pretty relevant to right now. I highly recommend you reading this book. I devoured it in a very short period of time. It was so good. The Lion of Mars. So, yeah, check it out when you've got a chance. It's worth the read. Bye for now.